Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of the CW's The 100, this week we've seen Season 3, Episode 12, which is called Demons. And, I apologize for the lateness of the review, but you guys are kind of used to it now. Just I had to work last night, and there's not much I can really do about that, unfortunately. But I did watch it last night. And, overall I thought it was a decent episode. It was okay. That it was bad or anything, but it certainly wasn't quite as strong as the previous week's episode, Nevermore. Not that the 100 ever has any bad episodes. Every episode is good to some extent. But this one I felt was one of the slightly weaker ones of the season so far. Again, not that it was bad, just not like on the scale or level as some of the other ones have been. But I still did really like this episode. It did have a couple standout moments, and we also got a somewhat important character death, and we got some actually some serious development as far as the whole A.L.I.E situation goes too. So it wasn't like a filler episode or anything like that. Even though this episode sort of stands more on its own, or sort of stands more so alone than some of the other ones do. I won't call it a filler episode either, because like I said, it did have some key development for the A.L.I.E side of things, and we also did get some aftermath to more so what happened with Lincoln, and also a tie back to the Emerson character. So we kind of got that wrapped up. So it wasn't like a waste of an episode or anything like that. Of course, it opens up with Miller, telling these this ghost story about demons, this guy with a hook and stuff like that, and they all get attacked. It's with Harper and I forget Miller's boyfriend's name, but they're all attacked. They're captured. That part was okay, I guess, but a hook story really. It was sort of eerie seeing our group drive back to Arcadia and just seeing it completely abandoned and empty. So I sort of like that shot. And this review is not going to be overly long. Not a whole lot went down, but what did, it still fit. It still tied back to things that were important at one point before. Like I said, the A.L.I.E stuff, but this review isn't going to be like 20 minutes or anything like that. It might be even less than 10 or something, but so it was kind of eerie seeing Arcadia abandoned. We get a moment where Jasper sort of tries to comfort Octavia, and it's good to see Jasper actually starting to come back around again. Because he's just been in a lull, all season over what happened to Maya with Mount Weather and stuff like that. But it's good to see that he's finally starting to get his head straight again. And Octavia's sort of shaking off what he's trying to do for, Octavia's on the spot over Lincoln, and you understand that, of course. It does feel a little bit weird that Lincoln's dead at this point. I'm still kind of, oh wow. That's just two huge deaths this season, with Lexa and Lincoln. Again, there's the reports that Ricky Whittle was bullied off the show, but it is what it is. It's still a great show. It's still worth following. Even he said that. Even with everything else, like I said about Rothenberg and stuff, it's still a show worth following. It's still a story worth following. And I'm glad to see that people are starting to calm down on the whole negative comments about the show since then. And then, this whole episode is built around someone coming around starting to pick off our group one by one, but not really picking them off so much as getting him set up for his own personal vengeance. And this is, of course, Emerson. We've seen him here and there ever since the events of Mount Weather. And, to see Emerson, dressed up in the grounder gear and stuff, it was a little bit of a letdown. I'm not sure who else it would have been that was going around doing this, but still, it's just Emerson again. But, despite Emerson not being very significant himself, he does represent something significant. And that is, of course, something that Clarke, Jasper, and Bellamy, everyone has been dealing with since the end of the season too, with what happened in Mount Weather, with, everyone being killed and stuff. And so it really was a good tool for, Clarke to really just face what she's done. Now that she hasn't already, she's obviously been living with it for a long time. but just really almost a direct confrontation with it. And so I thought that part of it worked, and I did sort of like the creepiness we got when Emerson was going around picking him off or capturing him. I especially thought it worked with Raven and St. Clair when he went after them. I'm just seeing that the different camera shots and stuff look pretty cool and creepy. And of course St. Clair's killed, protecting Raven. And that was kind of sad to see. St. Clair is someone who we haven't really gotten a whole lot of development from, but he's really been there since the beginning. And he's been someone who our main characters could always really trust. He's been there for Abby and stuff, and Kane and Thelonious. So it was a pretty significant death, but not like a major one. But it was still sad to see him go. Let's see. We also had some stuff going on with the Commander and the Grounders and the AI and stuff. Of course, Murphy runs into, I always forget her name, but the girl with a slightly messed up arm. He was sort of having a bit of a romance with. She shows up. They sort of sneak off together. She's sort of interested in all this, the culture of the Grounders, and of course they talk about Murphy playing a spot as Flamekeeper, even though he doesn't really know what he's doing. Let's see. Of course, the Commander eventually finds out about it. But what happens is that Jaha shows up, and he's able to eventually convince the Commander of the City of Light, and he's able to get her to take the chip, and that leads to actually seeing A.L.I.E sitting on the throne at the end of the episode. Basically, she's in the highest of influence right now, because she'll be able to control the Commander. She basically has the Grounders as her army, her own personal army at this point. So that is a pretty major development, and it really makes me even more worried and excited where the rest of the season is going to go. So that was all good, and Clarke ends up killing Emerson with the chip she had gotten out of Lexa, or with the whole ordeal that went down there. It was a little bit weird that she was just able to use it like that, but it came in handy, I guess. She had to be keeping it around for a reason, for some kind of purpose later on, I guess. And of course, Emerson is trying to make her watch her friends die as the oxygen is sucked out of them in the room, which of course would have been, a nod to what happened on Mount Weather. And I did like the sort of funeral or burial sequence they had for both Lincoln and Sinclair, and seeing Octavia mourn them. It was pretty well shot with the flames and stuff, and seeing Bellamy and Clarke sort of reciting what Octavia was. And so that's mainly what happened in the episode. Not a whole lot, but not one of the absolute strongest episodes this season. But at the same time, we did get some key development with the A.L.I.E situation. Now she's in the worst position of power possible for our characters. So I really don't know how it's all going to go for the rest of the season. It's really intriguing. I'm really eager to see more, as usual. The show just is fantastic, guys. Still fantastic. It's definitely one of my favorites right now, as I say pretty much every week. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry that's a little bit short, but again, there wasn't as much to talk about, even though there were some things worth noting for sure. And The Vampire Diaries is starting in a few minutes, so I gotta watch that, take my notes, and I'll get a review of that out to you guys a little bit later tonight. So if you guys enjoyed the quick video, I'll catch you guys next time. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and look for inswallowdead.com. Peace.